miserable.
Welcome back to the Miserable Podcast. We are here in the Miserable office/studio in Woodbridge, Virginia, and we are recording. Despite what's going on in the world, we refuse to stop. Not only do we refuse to stop, but we are going to thrive.
I like it.
See, I'm setting it up.
Yeah, I got you.
I'm setting it up. If you're watching the video or if you have noticed a different voice already, to my left, I have Marlon Yearwood. He's joining us today because Paulie didn't text back because he's probably asleep.
Definitely, 100%.
This was kind of impromptu, so I just got a text. Hold on, let me see if it's Paulie. That would be really funny, like right at the beginning of the... Oh, no, this is Instagram. Awesome.
He's still asleep. Still knocked
Actually,
out.
another podcast where I get a notification from Instagram, and Noah Parker, who is a faithful watcher of the podcast, he just commented. And he said, yo, y'all shout me out. That's the comment I just got where we shouted him out on the other podcast, and we're shouting him out again because you just happened to make that comment in the middle of this recording. So Noah Parker, obviously, we love you, bro. But yeah, we got Marlon Yearwood with us here in place of Paulie, and we're actually excited because he's going to do a lot better than Paulie for sure. This is what happens when you don't text back; you just get demolished at the next recording. So we'll let you hear more about Marlon here in a second, and then I got Kenny K. Soul Thompson to my right. We got a lot going on, a lot of good stuff. Picked up another music video for those of you that are familiar or found us because of Andy Mineo. We did the OTOD music video for him. Oh, no, you're not doing better than Paulie. You already messed up.
Oh my gosh. You know what? It must be that chair. Whoever sits in that chair.
No, because Paulie from home broke the ruler in the last one.
Okay. I tried to help him out.
It's all good. But yeah, we did the OTOD music video for Andy, and we are doing another one. And I'm not going to give you too many details because I don't know what they want out there, but we're right in the thick of that, and we're doing some other things as well. So it's good. But we seem to be, as far as the Miserable Company goes, it's a little more difficult, but we seem to be thriving in a very difficult time. And ladies and gentlemen, that is today's topic. See how I did that? I'm so professional. We're going to talk today about thriving in difficult times. In times where it can be a little more stressful, in times where it seems like things are stacked against you, in times where there are new things happening, in times where you are forced to get creative. But we're going to talk about beyond just surviving. That's where we started. It's like, let's talk about surviving. Forget that. Like, let's talk about taking all the things that are coming against you and flipping those things on their head and somehow turning a difficult time into a prosperous time or into a relaxing time, rejuvenating time. I don't know. Let's like we'll dig into that and we'll figure that out. It's appropriate, obviously, because for the past few weeks we have been kind of under stay-at-home orders, quarantine, social distancing, all of these things. Life has been flipped on its head. And we've been forced to figure things out and do new things. Everybody at your job, at my job, at the Miserable Company. Marlon is the pastor of the Way City Church here in Woodbridge, Virginia. They've had to figure things out just weeks after they started the church, and we'll get some more into that. So that's what we're talking about today. How do you, in a time like this, how do you go beyond just surviving it and actually figure out ways? How do you keep your mindset? How do you stay encouraged? And how do you keep your creativity through a time like this? So let's do this first. Let's talk about some of the challenges that we've experienced as the Miserable Company. What are some of the biggest challenges, Kenny, that we have experienced the past few weeks?
Probably just not being able to get together, too much, trying to adhere to the stay-at-home order and not, do too much. So we just haven't been able to meet as much. We've been doing a lot of video chatting and things like that. And sometimes it's easier to discuss things and it's easier to get things done when you can like physically be there with someone, with the type of work that we do, at least. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges. So it's just relying on a lot more communication. We see each other at least once a week. And now, like, I think this is the first time I've seen you in like 2 or 3 weeks, something like that. So that's different.
Yeah. So that's been a challenge because obviously to get the highest quality podcast that we can do, we have to be in the same room. Currently, like obviously you could have your own microphone set up there. We could do everything remotely, but this is the best way for us to do this. So we had the Casual Friday episode where we did the Zoom meeting, and that was cool. And it was funny, and that worked out. But that was something new that we had to do, and we had to figure out. I would say besides that, another one of the challenges has been, we used to meet here and brainstorm. And now it's like, instead of meeting, it's like we have to set up a thing at a time. Everybody's got to be at home. Your mind's not really there. It's been difficult too, because we can't meet physically. There's been a lack of that organic brainstorming. There's been a lack of that, like just random ideas that get tossed out because you're in the same room. And besides that, one thing is we had another client that we were going to work with. And then when all of this happened, client lost their work. So we lost that work.
Yeah.
So that was a challenge. But we've also found some new opportunities. And we'll get into that. So Marlon, concerning the Way City Church, and there may be some overlap. Obviously, if you're in quarantine, everybody's the getting together is a lack. But what are maybe some of the other challenges or things you've experienced?
Man, well, as a brand new church planter, so with the Way City Church, we started the church February 9th, right, 2020.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, so we literally had five services. And then the 6th service was very questionable. That was like that Sunday when folks were like, do we go or do we not go to church? And many churches canceled, but we kept it going. So we had six services, and then we were forced to close the doors for now. So that's been a challenge. I'm a people person, love to be around people. Ministry is what I love. That's what I enjoy. And just not being around my folks, man, has been tough. And obviously, the beginning of a church plant, momentum is so important. So so losing that momentum is, man, I don't know, man. It's been tough.
Or at least feeling like you've lost it.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah, because you're not in control.
Right,
I have the people there.
Right. That's what it feels like. So, but we've been doing online stuff. You've been a blessing, man, with helping me record some stuff. But yeah, man, just kind of day by day, week by week. This is the first Resurrection Sunday where we're going to be outside of the church. I mean, that's crazy history in the making.
Yeah, as someone who grew up being a part of, I guess, the church staff. I played drums at my church. I've done editing. I've done acting. I've done various things. I will say that I'm grateful for the break. I am, because sometimes getting up to, especially because you're a band leader, worship leader, and getting up to be a part of that, sometimes it's work, and it kind of weighs on you a little bit, and it's also very rewarding. I love doing it, but just the 2 or 3 weeks that I haven't had to do it, it's but now I kind of miss it. I'm I'm ready to get back in there,
I get you. That's a positive way to look at it.
Yeah,
for sure, man. Yeah.
And you kind of mentioned it before, just taking that time to kind of reset your mind. Yeah. And the funny thing is, right before all of this happened, where we had to stay at home, someone asked me, they said, so you play drums at the church? And it's someone I had just met. And I was like, yeah. And they were like, so how do you balance it being pure worship and you just kind of like playing and kind of like rocking out.
Yeah.
So it was like the perfect time to ask me that question, because now I've had time to sit and think about it and kind of re-engineer the way I do things, when it comes to that. But yeah, I've enjoyed the break, but I am ready to get back to it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, from a church plant perspective, like, and we don't got to get into details, but one of the things, obviously, that you have to be worried about is finances. And I don't know how your finances work. We don't got to get into that.
No.
But, if you're not meeting, I'm on staff at a church. So the first thing you think is like, man, I hope people give online, just to keep things operating. And I would say too, and I don't want to speak for anybody, so I'll make a very general statement, that the three of us probably haven't experienced the extent of the hardships of people who have lost their jobs.
Yeah, that's true.
Like you've been able to work from home.
Yeah.
I've been able to continue what I'm doing. You've been able, for the most part, I don't know, but there are people that, who in very difficult times are having trouble even surviving. So we haven't experienced that to the extent that some people have. Now, still, wherever somebody may be when they're listening to this podcast, we may have somebody who's struggling for work, filing for unemployment. We may have people who are just at home and they're getting paid and they're just kind of enjoying being at home. And there's maybe people like Phil, for instance, his work is considered essential. So he's been going to work nothing's changed. He's been at work every day doing the same thing. So there's a broad spectrum of possibility where people may land listening to this. However, I think that anybody in the situation has the opportunity to take the situation, take the problem, and make it an opportunity. Take the challenge, the new thing, and make that something that ends up being advantageous for them, ends up being a positive thing. So what we need to do wherever people find themselves in this moment is let's take those challenges that we just mentioned, the not being able to get together, the momentum, the lack of finances, the lack of creative ideas and sessions, the losing clients, the all of those things. How can we take those things then, and we ourselves in our situation change our perspective or find the good that's come out of it, so that maybe people listening can find that same thing?
I heard someone once say that the graveyard is the wealthiest place in the world, because you have amazing songs that were never written. You have amazing books that were never written, right? You have amazing movies that were never produced. And so when I think about where we're at right now, I feel like there's an opportunity for us to possibly tap into some of our dreams. Like those things where maybe, our work, our 9 to 5, our regular pattern kind of got us in a rut a little bit,
right?
And we didn't have the time to stop and and pause and focus on some of those dreams. So I feel like in this season, there's an opportunity for us to do that, and I've seen that with some folks. Like some folks have started YouTube channels, and producing amazing content that's getting amazing feedback right now. So I would say if unfortunately you've lost your job, right, like look for maybe some of those giftings and talents that you have and pursue some of those dreams
that you were unable to
before,
right?
Right. Yeah, I've kind of taken the same approach too, just using the extra time that I have. Because usually, like when I go to work, I get up at 5-something in the morning, and it takes me about an hour and a half to get to work. Then I'm at work for 8.5 hours. Then it's another hour and a half home. But I don't have to do that commute anymore.
Right.
Plus I'm home, so I can use my lunch break to do things, and I've been doing it. I think you said something very, very powerful. use that time to do the things that you've always wanted to do, and you just never did it because you didn't have the time. You didn't have, maybe you didn't have the time to just sit down and brainstorm how you're going to do things, you know?
Yeah.
My wife likes to draw, and she hasn't been drawing because she goes to work. She's the team leader at her job. Now she comes home, she ordered some stuff off of Amazon. She got a drawing book, some pencils. Wow. She started drawing. She drew something yesterday. I was like, that's amazing.
Wow. Yeah.
So seeing stuff like that, seeing things like that makes me really motivated and inspired, because I see people taking advantage of being at home and not even necessarily always just following your dreams, but using that time. You know what? I haven't been able to spend time with my wife and kids. Yeah. So now people can spend that time with their wife and kids, and me and my wife have gotten closer. Like so much closer.
Excellent, man.
Just because we're together 24 hours a day. You would think we'd kill each other.
I would say that too.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know because Jeremy's busy. Like he does 100 million things. And one thing that he always says when I work with him is, man, I miss my kids. So I know right now, I know you're having a great time. I know you are.
I am.
Yeah, so take advantage of that time for sure, 100%.
Yeah, that's good, man. You know, especially when it comes to our loved ones.
Yeah,
right? Like just spending that extra time with them, man. That's priceless. We have young kids, you know, and they treasure that time, man. They treasure the time with dad and with mom. So for me, it's been a blessing too, because it's been that extra time with Moses and Avi. So yeah.
Oh, so you got two little ones?
I got two. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Moses is 7, Avi is 4. Yeah, and then one on the way.
Oh wow! Okay, yeah. 4 and 7 are good ages for they just want to play. That's it.
Yeah,
I miss 4 and 7.
So I think from a pastor's perspective. So I'm gonna think for you, right? So obviously you haven't been able to meet. You mentioned momentum, but I would challenge you and say that perhaps you're thinking pragmatically when you say that.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this momentum of like, I got to get people excited and we got to get people going. We have these type of goals, right? So beyond that, so I know one thing, I do youth ministry at my church. One thing that's been awesome to see is like, this is given my students and my other leaders such an opportunity. Now there's more opportunity than ever. It's not just Thursday at 7.
Yeah.
It's every day at every hour. Like, you know, you have an opportunity to do things that you weren't doing before. So one of the most encouraging things for me has been like every day leaders putting out devotions. Every day we found out that our students, some of our students had every day at 9 p.m. they were doing like group FaceTime or Zoom call, whatever, and they were doing their own Bible study. So I think, you know, a lot of times the way that the church kind of institution is set up, people get on schedule. So I go at this time, I receive, and then I leave. I go at this time, I receive. And now it's like, it's on you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you're going to have to dig in. You're going to have to do this. So I think that's one thing.
Yeah.
And man, like the repercussions that could have, the positive in the future. It was like, now let's create a new normal among the body of Christ where this is what I do.
Right.
On my own.
Yeah.
And then when you get back to the regular scheduled program, that continues. And I gave an analogy a few weeks ago when we were talking to one of my teams, and I was like, look, man, when you're mining, when you're panning for gold, right? Like you stick your pan in the water or whatever, you dig up dirt and mud and you put it on your pan, whatever that thing is called, the screen, you know?
Yeah.
And what you got is a bunch of mud, right? And dirt. But there's gold in there. So as you begin to sift it away, what happens is all of the valuable things are left behind. And you take those valuable things and then you leave the dirt where it was at. When we're in times like this, it's the same thing. We're getting a little bit dirty, kind of stinks. You get your hands in the mud, all of that stuff. But the awesome thing is in this process, you find things of value.
Yeah, it's good.
And then when it's over, you have that thing of value and you keep it. But all the mud is just washed away. So where we're at right now is we're at that time where we're beginning to pull the gold out of all of this mud. And the awesome thing is, even though you got to get your hands a little dirty, all of that stuff washes away eventually. But you keep the gold that you get from that moment. You keep the things of value that you find in this time. So that's where I see, you know, like we just mentioned, everybody's sitting at home doing these devotions, doing these. There's churches who never knew how to live stream. That's right. Now they know.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's people who never knew how to formulate a devotion. Now they know. So there's people who never thought about doing Bible studies and devotions and video chats. Now they know. Yeah. They know how to do it. They know where to do it. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of these things,
right? Who have never stepped foot in a church, who are actually getting that same message, that same word.
Right.
Now, right? I've heard a lot of stories like that.
Yeah.
You know, and there's been some other stories within my own church, you know, of folks that never attended, right? But now they're receiving the messages and they're listening to it. It's wow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This is like a great opportunity for churches to reach outside of the church walls.
Right.
Because a lot of people, like you said, this is the time, this is the place, let's do it again next week. And it becomes routine. But now putting out online things and you have someone that's just maybe in a bad place and they're able to receive that positive word, you know, just because of the situation we're in. Whereas before it would be being preached behind closed doors and no one would ever hear it outside of the people in there, you know? So,
yeah. And so just beyond that, right? So, let's look at focusing back on kind of like miserable company stuff. So I mentioned that we technically lost a project and lost a client. But in the process, that has allowed us to take on different projects and to do different things that, you know, not that they're any better or anything like that, but we've found in this that what we do, especially with our client work, is essentially bulletproof, you know, because right now what we do is what everybody needs. So that's been encouraging to me, where there have been businesses that have reached out to us, an artist, and said, hey, we have to close our doors, but we want people to see this. Can you do a video for us? And it's like, sweet, perfect, you know. And then with the new project we have, it's like, hey, we just want to put this out and we already have the footage, so we don't even have to meet. So in that case, we're still able to work. We're still able to keep the lights on, which is really cool. So that's been encouraging, is realizing that what we do in even more difficult times or things like this, which nobody's ever experienced, that there's still a market there for us. And that's a very practical thing. But that's been very encouraging, just to know like, oh, sweet, like there's still work that can be done even if everything else is shut down. So that's been really cool. I would say the other like positive thing that has come out of this is that it's forced us to communicate with other people kind of at a higher volume than maybe we would have before. So there's been more emails going out and there's been more communication happening because now we have the time to do it. You know, now we have a reason to do it. So it's caused even our connection, right?
Yeah.
So we knew each other. We passed each other. We said, hey, what's up? You know, but then when it came down, it was like, hey, you need some video. I can help you with some videos. So now every week, you know, we've been getting together and doing that. So we've created a bond that maybe would have still happened but over
Taking
a longer
time,
period
right,
of time.
exactly. Yeah,
So it's kind of accelerated
right.
some of those things as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of pros and cons to everything that's been going on. I'll say this, for me, I've been able to get back to like making videos that I like to make, because I've kind of hit a place in just doing video production work where I was kind of falling out of love with it again. I just didn't enjoy what I was working on. And the stay-at-home order was how long ago? Was that 2 weeks ago?
Something like that.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think so.
So then everything kind of shut down maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. So since that time, in those 4 weeks, I've created, like 2 or 3 things that I've wanted to create and just put them out there.
Yeah.
Whereas before it would be like, I don't really have time. I have to put this off. So, man, that's been great. Just like being able to find my way back to something that I'm passionate about and kind of like rejuvenating that passion. I think that's a lot of fun too, because, you can pursue dreams and goals and things like that, but sometimes it's just good to get back to what you like to do.
Absolutely.
Just to enjoy life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been huge for me since this quarantine. I've like just being able to create whatever's in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I still have like, I made like a list. I was telling Polly about it. I made a list in a notebook, and there's like 7 things that I just want to make. And I have the time to make those things. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. Man, that's good. One of the things that we have to remember, is that this is a season, right? So we're passing through, right?
Yeah.
This isn't for the long haul. You know what I mean?
Not at all.
So we're going to be here, and it may be a few months, right? We don't know how long this is going to be, right? They keep kind of extending it. But it's seasonal, right? So the seasons come and the seasons go, and, the seasons change, right? So it may be a difficult season right now for some folks, but I want to remind them that this is a season, and it will change, and it will pass, and it will end, right? So have hope for the next season.
So
that's good.
Let's keep on that, because I think the next thing I wanted to talk about, excuse me, I'm making a list too, all of the positive things we pointed out, because I want to recap all of these at the end. So let's go to like the mindset that we need to keep. Okay. In order to keep these positive things on our mind, in order to be able to flip these negative things into positive things or find the positive there, let's talk about the things we need to remember. Number one, you just said it, is it's not forever. It's a season.
It's the truth.
It's a season. What are some other things? And I don't have anything on the top of my head. What are some other things that we need to remember?
That's a good question.
I would say one thing is just to remember that we have to be flexible. We're not in control. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's good.
We're men of faith, so we believe that God is in control.
Right.
So in keeping that in mind is, we can make plans and we can have goals and we can want momentum. We know what we want to do week by week. And that's how I am too. I'm like, all right, this is what we should be going towards. This is what we should be going for. This is, and I want to keep those things. And I'm disciplined in that sense. But I think we also need to remember that, as much as we like to think we're in control, we got to roll with the punches sometimes.
I was just about to say that.
We got to be flexible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So seasons come and seasons go. And when things happen, we have to remember that, we want to keep a sense of normalcy.
Yeah.
And we want to keep momentum. But sometimes, man, we have to just understand and be willing to go, okay, like, I can't control everything.
Right.
So I'm just going to roll with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think just remembering that it's a season, being flexible.
Yep. I would also add to that and say, don't worry. Like, I know it's so simple, and, but don't worry. Right. And when I say don't worry, right, I mean, literally the truth is that by worrying, right, we change nothing. right? Like we don't have the power, back to what you said, Jeremy, right? Like being in control, right? We don't have the power to change anything by worrying, but sometimes we take great comfort in our worry. But the truth is that when we worry, it actually brings all kinds of additional issues and additional even health concerns. You know, the body is literally affected by our worry. So I would say, you know, if your worrying in this season helps the situation and changes the situation, then maybe you could debate with me as to why you should worry. But the truth is, and the reality is, it doesn't. Actually, it adds to it, right? And it brings more pain and more suffering. So I understand that it's a very serious situation, a very serious season that we're in right now. I do understand that. But my encouragement would be, don't worry, because your worrying cannot change the current circumstances. So have a positive attitude. And obviously, again, as a person of faith, you know, so we don't worry because, you know, my faith and my trust and my confidence is in God, right? That's why I don't worry. But
and I would even say, and this kind of goes along the lines of what you guys just said, not worrying, realizing that you're not in control of everything, is focus on what you can do. You know, simple analogy, YouTube video. You want to start a YouTube channel and you're like, I don't have access to a camera right now, and I don't have access to buy things. You have a phone. And I think that it's important to look at what you can do in any situation that you're in and kind of focus on that. Because if you focus on the things you can't control and the things that all you can do for them is worry, it's not productive at all. And you'll continue to make those feelings worse and worse. So look at what you can do and just go hard at that. 100%.
Good.
I feel like I say 100% a lot.
Anything else, like things we need to remember, like mindset? I would say that this is a good time, and we alluded to some of this earlier, but this is a good time to remember that all of the things of life really don't matter as much as we'd like to think. What matters really is just people. Like that's it. Because if the Way City Church was gone, all those people would still be there. If Miserable Company was gone, all the people would still be here. And along those lines is remembering, you know, making a statement, all those people would still be here. But also remembering that the people in our life are always going to be here. So they're the thing that lasts when everything else fails, but then they're also the thing that are in and out of our life. You know, people are losing loved ones. I had a friend post about one of the pastors at his church died of COVID-19. You know, and that's when you start seeing these things and you're like, oh man, it's getting close to home, you know. But just, I think for me, I'm so driven, and I've talked about this before, I'm so focused that all of these things that I do in life sometimes become front and center in my mind. And it's a time like this when you go, you know what, like, if I lost my job, I still have my wife. If this endeavor completely failed, I still got my friends, you know? So it's kind of a good way. Everything else have gotten disrupted, right? Everything else is on hold, but not my relationship with you. Everything else is like up in the air. We don't know. There's people that are literally, they're afraid to lose their businesses. There's people that have lost their jobs. And in the midst of all of these things, like, man, we still have each other. You know, and it's sometimes people can become assets to us. People can become almost obstacles to us. Sometimes people are the side notes in our life. You know, but this is a good opportunity just to remember, man. At the end of the day, like all we got is each other. That's it. That's really all we got. Everything else kind of comes and goes. But man, we're the eternal beings in this equation. You know what I'm saying? Like, and in a sense. So that's one thing that has really like brought me back again. And I get those every once in a while where I'm so like driven and I'm so focused, and sometimes I gotta stop and go, wait.
Yeah.
Like I gotta remember, and being a person of faith too. I mean, that's it. Love God, love people, and sometimes we get so caught up in the things. I know I do. That this is a good opportunity. I've almost sensed among some people is like this such a desperation to not give up anything. It's like I got to keep everything that I had before. I got to keep all of that structure and everything plus some. And it's like I've been tempted as well to do that, and I've almost kind of forcing myself to take a step back and go, no, wait, like maybe my wife just needs me right now. Maybe my friends need me right now. Maybe, and all of those other things, I can kind of, those can wait. This is a good opportunity this is a good excuse for me to go, you know what? We don't have to do that miserable company video. Like we can just focus on this. We can focus, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. For me, this has been a very humbling season, and it just kind of reminds me personally, right, that I'm flesh. You know what I mean? Like, I'm young and I'm healthy and I'm strong, and you kind of feel like you're gonna live forever. You know what I mean? But I feel like this COVID-19 has humbled a lot of people. Brought a lot of people to their knees where they understand, back to what we said earlier, that actually we're not in control, and we're actually, if I can use the word, we're actually weak. We are matter, right? And we can fall apart so quickly.
From dust we came.
Seriously,
dust we shall return.
Like we're like super fragile. You know what I mean? Like where if we touch the wrong thing and put our hands to our mouth, like that could be it. You know what I mean? Like that's how fragile we are. So, again, back to, the season that we're in, obviously in the Christian world, right? This is Resurrection Sunday coming up and Good Friday today, right? So for me, man, like everything is fleeting, right? Like everything shall pass. I don't know how long I have, right? And a lot of people right now are thinking about death, right? And they're thinking about eternity. And for me, the hope is in the resurrection, man. Is in Jesus. Like that's my only hope in a season like this. So and there are a lot of people again that are beginning to think about eternity. So it just reminds me of how weak and fragile we are.
Yeah.
He's the only certain thing, man. Yeah.
So to summarize, how do you thrive in a time like this?
I think it's all mindset. I mean, at the core of it all, it's just how you choose to think about things, how you have your perspective on things matters. And I think if you push that in the right way, your outlook on a very, I guess, dire situation, you can still thrive within it. So yeah, it's all mindset.
Yeah.
Let me recap the things that I wrote down, the notes I was taking. First of all, on the mindset, these are the things that we pointed out. We got to remember that this is the season. It's not forever. Number 2, we got to be flexible. We got to accept that we're not in control of everything and be humble. And that's humility. I think that's humility sums that up.
Yeah.
The other thing was don't worry. Worrying really doesn't change anything. Focus on what you can do and not what you can't do. That's another good one. People are most important. And then the last thing he says is just, man, keep hope alive. Just it's very easy to get in that negative cycle of thinking. But if you remember it's a season, if you're humble, if you force yourself not to worry, if you think about what you can do, and you put people first, man, it's going to be a lot easier to have some hope. And then these were the positive things that we pointed out that have happened because of this. And this is one of those things about having hope and not worrying. If you can write some things down like this, or how they apply to your own life, this could be something that could really help you thrive at a time like this. These are the positive things that have come to this. Number one, we have more time to explore interest and work towards our dreams. Number two, we've been able to improve relationships with spouses and with family. And let me just say, somebody out there going, "Nah, not me. I've been going crazy." We've been, but this is the point.
Yeah.
Is that things can either get worse, get better, or not change at all. And if you use this time right, they can improve, and they have.
Absolutely.
In your case and in mine.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I won't speak for you, but maybe so.
It's improved.
Oh, no, I'm not going to get it. No, just messing.
No, we're thriving. We're thriving.
There you go. So more time to explore interests, work towards dreams, improve relationships with spouses, family, learning new skills. So people that didn't know how to do videos are exploring that and learning things that they'll keep even after this is over. Reaching new people. That goes for churches, for businesses, for, like a lot of businesses, like maybe never mess with social media too much, but now they want people to know that they're still doing takeout and curbside. So they're posting. Which also, man, shout out to Francesco at Montclair Family. Have y'all been looking at, do you follow him on Instagram?
No.
He is killing on Instagram. Like literally every day, he's doing like 3 or 4 posts that are just great. Like naturally, he's just good at it. And he did the thing like, they did like the old filter, where he looked old, and he got with one of his servers and they took a picture and it was like, hopefully we don't look like this by the time we reopen. It's like little things like that, but he's been killing it. And man, you go in there, they got takeout orders stacked up all over the restaurant. I was like, they can't even keep up. They were saying like on the weekends, it's been wild. Phone ringing off the hook. So, he's sharpening that skill. Maybe not even learning a new skill because he was good before. But I'm getting on there every day and I'm like, yo, I'm about to go over there and eat. I'm thinking about right after this. I'm like, oh.
I was looking for them on DoorDash. They're not on Door. I was like, come on, man.
But I think he's doing delivery just through themselves.
Okay.
I think so, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
But so more time to explore interests, work towards dreams, improve relationships, learn new skills, reach new people. So these businesses, these churches, whoever that haven't been doing social media, now they're going out, they're probably getting some new people that they normally wouldn't have had. Accelerated relationships and communications, like we talked about in our case, or even with some of our clients who we've been speaking to more because we lost other clients or because now we're all just at home just talking, So that's been a plus. Been forced creativity, having to try some new things.
Yep.
Forced experimentation. That's how we get better. We experiment. And now we're having to try some new stuff to see if it works. And then Kenny mentioned reconnecting with passions that he once had. They had kind of become work, and now he's having the opportunity to just do some fun stuff again. So yeah, man, there's a lot of good that can come out of this. And again, I want to reiterate before we're done with this. I personally know people who have lost their job, and the future is very uncertain. So I don't want to sit here and, ignorantly go, oh, just reconnect with your passion, oh, just, just improve your relationships, However, I will confidently say that if that is you, and you are extremely concerned about the future, you have lost your job, you're in a worse position than any of us are in, I would still challenge you to take these things, to remember to control what you can, try to keep a positive mindset. Maybe the job that you lost was something that was not good for you or was bringing you down. And maybe even though you don't know how you're going to pay this bill tomorrow or next week, maybe if you keep a positive mindset, if you don't let worry take control, if you really, really do the best that you can as far as turning this thing into something positive, maybe something positive can still come from it. And if that is you, humility at a time like this. Don't forget that everybody who, no matter who you are, you have people in your life that care about you. You have people in your life that are willing to support you. You have people in your life that want to help if they can. So if this is an extremely difficult time for you, like really, these things can still apply. And I think that in the midst of all of it, look, if you need help, like I'm not wealthy by any means. We don't have a benevolence budget for the Miserable Company. We got no budget. We're keeping the lights on. But man, reach out to us. Reach out to somebody. Because maybe of all the other positive things that we can put in here is that this is an opportunity for people who can help people to actually help people. Yeah. That's another thing. And it is more blessed to give than it is to receive. So, give somebody the opportunity. Don't be locked away and just thinking, I'm on my own. Man, there's people out there who will help. There's ministries out there who will help. But keep that positive mindset. Yeah. Be humble. Remember it's a season. Don't worry. Be flexible. Like, think about the things that you can do. And man, there's an end to this. And I'm really believing that when life comes at us with these things, and if you're a person of faith, Scripture tells you that anything that's meant for bad doesn't mean that everything that happens is good. But whatever is meant for bad, that man, if you'll stay faithful to Him, He'll stay faithful to you. And I believe that, and I believe that a lot of good can come from this for your church, absolutely. For you individually, for me individually, for the Miserable Company, for whatever you do out there listening, for whatever you have going on. The only thing that we can do in this situation is be positive and do what we can do. And we just hope, man, if you're out there and you're listening, again, the whole point of the Miserable Company, really at the core of it, is to encourage people. That's it. So yeah, it's a crazy time, but man, there's also an opportunity. Every problem is just an opportunity. So wherever you're at, I do want to extend an invitation to reach out to us. We'll help in any way that we can. Absolutely. thewaycitychurch.org. Yep. Get on there. Reach out to them if you need a word of encouragement. I know you've been putting some videos out. Maybe people want to watch some videos. At the Rally VA, we've been putting videos out if you want to watch those. Just encouraging things. I know your timelines have probably been flooded with live streams and whatever, but even more so than that, man, you just need somebody to talk to. Reach out to Marlon through thewaycitychurch.org. Reach out to us. However you have come in contact with us, man. And again, we're in this together, and people are important. The reason we talked about this today is that we just know that there's people out there who need to be reminded that it's a season. It's gonna be all right, and you got people out there who care. Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, some good stuff. Yeah. And appreciate you guys. Appreciate you listening, watching the Miserable Podcast. Paulie, wake up. He still hasn't texted. It's 2 p.m. He still hasn't texted. But thanks for joining us today. Yeah, it was Marlon. A pleasure. Yeah, thanks for joining us. Pleasure to be here, man. And I'm kind of hungry, man. I guess we'll go get some takeout somewhere or just go home and eat another frozen pizza. Who knows? Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Keep hope alive, man. Sounds good. Peace. Or as Phil would say, bye-bye.